Hey beauties, good morning to you, beautiful people. All right, so a friend of mine, she sent me something on Instagram and asked me to speak on it. And I said I would, because there's another topic that I'm going to tie into it. So I would encourage you to listen to the very end. All right, so I'm paraphrasing now. So you have this African Jamaican, or is African, I think it's a Jamaican teacher, of African descent, black woman that is teaching at a kindergarten at a particular school. They call it K8. So there is a young fellow, I think it's a boy or girl, I think it was a boy. He has on locks. So she called him the N-word, Negro, niggard, one of the two, she probably said. I'm not sure, I didn't get the feeling. I'm not sure if it was said in a disparaging way, disrespectful way, but it may have been. So he went home and he complained to his mother that the teacher called him the N-word. And the teacher is certainly, she is beyond taken aback. She's irate, very upset. She was told that the principal and the teacher sent their apology. However, she didn't find that sufficient. It didn't suffice the fact that her son would have been, I suppose in her words, and I'm putting it this way verbally, assaulted with the being called the N-word, the nigger, negro, whichever one, the child was called. All right. I understand how the mother feels. Let me take it from there first. Let's speak from the mother's feeling. I can understand if she's irate because the comment would have been offensive. I can understand her feeling irate because the comment would have been disparaging. I can understand her feeling because the comment would have promulgated colorism. I can understand her feeling it would have been disrespectful. So we look at all the vitriol right there. However, I think many people have not understood the etymology, the origin of what the word racism means. Racism speaks to dominance and supremacy. It speaks to dominance and to supremacy. That is how it was coined. Because the whites were able to dominate and be supreme, so to speak, to the blacks and other what you call minority races, vulnerable groups and so on. That is why they were dubbed as racist. And you know the terminology, the hypothesis, white supremacists. So let me say it this way. Black on black is not racism. I can understand colorism. So if my shade is darker than yours, you're probably going to say, "Boy, you're black. You're blacker than me. You're black like tar. You're black like last night. You're black like midnight. You're black like the car on the outside." I can understand. That's a disparaging remark. That's a disrespectful remark. That's an offensive remark. That's a remark that speaks to colorism and prejudice. So you prefer or you do not prefer this skin color versus that skin color. Let me put it this way. If my skin complexion and somebody darker than mine and somebody lighter than mine, we go to a state that is heavily racist in terms of finding a lot of white supremacists, they're going to treat all of us very badly. All of us are black. It doesn't matter if you call that one high color brown or fair skinned. You call me as a brown or, ordinary brown. Somebody darker, black like tar, black like last night. I'm saying it this way for you to understand where I'm going. I'm being very graphic, not to be disrespectful, because I love my black race. I'm happy that I'm black. I'm very much happy that I'm black. The devil has found a way to twist anything that is black. You have often heard the saying, anything that is too black is never good. If you have on a black ring, for example, and I deliberately wear mine, they think it is something of necromancy, obeah, witchcraft. But if it has a white stone, wow, it's pretty, it's white, it's light, angelic. If you have on full black, you must be going to a funeral, not understanding that generally for formal events, they wear black. Look at the lawyers, the legal fraternity. They wear their black with that little white thingy right here, and the color or whatever it is it's called. Somebody told me the name. I don't remember it offhand right now. The entire, outfit. And if I were to dress in full black and a black lipstick, she's gothic. She's in a cultic, because you may have cultic people who do this because of how they understand the whole black and white. No, racism speaks to supremacy and dominance. there's no supremacy and dominance in the whole grand scheme of things, even though she's the leader of the class and call him the N-word. And in fact, the teacher said in our country we use it, maybe how she used the color, she used the word, maybe she was saying, hey man nigga, what's up? Because she said in Jamaica it wasn't considered a negative connotation. It didn't carry a vitriol behind it, which I can understand. I've seen people say, you know, in Jamaica we tend to use a lot of, based on how you look, based on your complexion, we tend to describe you in that way. It's very hard to say if it is good or bad, because sometimes even I am guilty of it. We grew up in that sort of a culture. So somebody's fair skin, browning, blacks, fatter, you know, dry-head, red-head. We tend to be like that because sometimes we're not good with names. We tend not to focus our attention on names, which is a bad thing. It speaks to respect and meekness when we remember people's names. I'm guilty of not remembering people's names, and I'm trying to work on that. So sometimes, unfortunately, when you're describing, you start to describe the disposition or the look of the individual, and you may get into the color. So the country is a country filled with classism and prejudice in terms of colorism. Yes. When you're dark, the darker you are, the more you're treated with disdain, dishonor, devalue, and the negative things that you can think of. Depending, if you have money, they don't see the color anymore. So, you know, the money takes precedence. But I have to inculcate again that racism speaks to dominance. Black on black is not racism. It's a pot cuts in the kettle. The black pot cuts in the black kettle. It was... She could argue the point that it was offensive, disparaging, disrespectful, rude. Not a problem where that is concerned. But it certainly was not racist. And let me segue into this whole situation with Spice and Erica, you know, in their TV program. I've come on here, I think maybe once or twice, to say, do not bring children in a situation. Once you're speaking to a parent, even if he or she does not have a good relationship with her child, once you mention about the child's disposition, their physical features, or the relationship between the parent and the child, it's going to be taken in the worst possible way. You hit a nerve that will make Mother Teresa curse the worst words on the planet. So to tell a mother that your son does not love you is very hard to take. I remember a family member told me something similar about another family member, something bad, and it hurt me. I was so hurt. I was so angry because it hit way below the belt. It just came from the offensive. I didn't feel good about it. It doesn't rest well with you, and it hurts. It brings a pain that you would not wish for the worst person. So hence the lady is going to get her anger. I mean, she's probably not, it's somebody, you know, she's not a Christian. And I hate to use the word Christian. In other words, she's not going to think in religious terms to say, you know, he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life. Just hold your peace. Be self-control. She was really hurt badly. And she felt that she needed to retaliate. So she called her, because, you know, blue represents, that's her color, that's Spice's color. So she called her Blue Monkey. Let me tell you something. The number of Jamaicans will call people monkey. It is not. I have heard people call people gorilla, orangutan. Some of us probably back then have been guilty of it. Whether you're brown or you're what, the person favor gorilla. I remember that, and people do it. Let us be fair. Especially black people. We're very descriptive. We use a lot of adjectives to describe, especially when we're vexed and we know it will hurt you. You start to describe the look of the person, especially if you feel like they're not necessarily beautiful, a beauty queen look, and they're black. Monkey. She probably couldn't call her black because she's what, Puerto Rican or some one of them, but she's black. Here, let me tell you something. I see some people say the girl is not black. Listen to me. If you're not white, they consider you black. You could have been Haitian, Chinese, black, Japanese. What the other one they name again? Spaniards, whatever you want to call it. They're going to call you black. Nowadays, we will separate it for distinction purposes, but they bunch everybody under black. It's black and white, no gray areas. So who say that she's not white? And you could look at that lady's complexion and think that she's white, because I was watching something, and you know. So it's like the pot cussing the kettle. Not to say I'm not hitting on Spice, but I'm just letting you know we have to be careful in terms of using this thing about racism and not understanding that it speaks to dominance and supremacy. All right, guys, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel.